Hello and welcome to the Retirement Blueprint. I'm Sara Peterson here with my friend Tim Lofton, and we are bringing the fun back to retirement planning.
We are bringing the fun back.
That's what we're doing.
Heck yeah.
Look, I mean, we were talking about it. You have 3 kids. I have 4. We all look forward to those times where we can just sit back, relax, watch them grow, watch the flowers grow, maybe drink some coffee, drink it all day long, all those things. And that's what you can get. If you have a good retirement plan and you're ready for it, you can do all those things and you have no worries.
That's right. And more importantly, you can have the really cool vacations to get all your kids and grandkids to come back and see you. That's the key. This is like one of my favorite things when we're talking about, a lot of times the idea of a vacation home comes up or something of that nature, and we're like, no. Don't buy a vacation home. Rent a huge vacation home on the beach for 2 weeks every year, maybe 1 week, depending on how many schedules you have to coordinate. Get all the kids and grandkids in one place and make that a family tradition. That's the coolest thing about retirement is you can start new family traditions. It doesn't have to be a close of you guys doing things as a family, and it's hard, right? I mean, we transition from, well, we used to do Christmas, but now everybody's kind of got their own place, or the kids get spread across the United States, and it's trying to get everybody together. But I guarantee you, if you buy a house on a beach or rent a house on a beach, they'll show up.
I'll never forget my grandfather, growing up in the Depression. He had that mentality of no spending, and he built his business from nothing and did so well for himself. And the only thing he would spend on would be these giant family vacations, bringing all the cousins, everyone together. And I thought, this is the way.
Yeah.
He didn't need all those excess things. He never bought himself the fancy car or any of the things the other guys were doing, because he said, no, this is what's important to me. And we all have different priorities, and everybody's scenario is different. My needs are going to be different than yours. And so that's what's so personal about having your own plan. It's only yours. It's never going to be two alike.
Making memories and creating experiences is the best money you can ever spend.
What do you say to someone who comes to you and you say to them, okay, talk to me about when you're ready to retire, and they look at you like deer in headlights? They don't know. Or maybe the wife wants to retire first and the husband doesn't, or vice versa. How do you help somebody determine the right age and stage to do that?
Well, everybody that comes into our office is pretty much kicking the tires on retirement. And it's interesting because people are all in a different stage. We have people that come in that are like, I am done. Like, this year, that's it, I'm not working anymore. And then we have other people that are like, I'm thinking about being done, but I'm not sure. And then we have other people that say, I think I can retire, but I don't really have any plan on retiring. What does that look like? And so those tend to be the kind of the 3 categories of people that come to visit us. And, they're all in a great place. They're looking for answers. And we built the Retirement Blueprint to give people answers, to give people direction, to build a foundation that says, if you do this, here's what it'll look like. And then we can move things around, and so they can kind of play with that. If we did this, if we did that, what changes would that make to our overall plan? I
love what you said in one of our previous shows about having the option to work but not needing to. And I think that's so important because it changes your mindset. Like we were talking about, coming to work with a smile, being grateful to be there and being passionate about what you do. Sometimes we didn't all have that benefit, but we can in our later years do that and still reap the benefits of retirement.
Exactly. I graduated in 1992, so I'll give away my age.
I was going to say, don't do it.
For most of our clients, they're like, oh, he's so young. And then for like my kids, they're like, oh my gosh, you're old. And, so I joke with the kids all the time. I was born in the 60s, 1969, but I was born in the 60s because it just sounds cool.
Yeah.
But the idea in 92 when I graduated is people were on this fast track. They wanted to retire at 50, at 55, and they were going to, have these 40-year retirements. And that changed. Like, that has shifted, and it had nothing. This isn't a 2019, coronavirus murder hornet thing. This is based off of.
Don't forget the dumpster fires.
And we've change shortage. We ran out of change. I don't know how that's possible. I don't know where all the change went. It's in my drawer at home.
They went where the socks go. I know wherever the socks go.
Do you have one of those drawers at home where you throw your change? Like, I totally have one of those. So the shift happened, and people said, why would I retire. Like, I like what I do. I like the aspects of human interaction, the things that give us longevity, which is being needed, creating value, doing things that we enjoy doing those things with other people. That's a key component to living longer. And so with technology today, people can do things so different than they could even 20 years ago. We can work from home. We just found that out, right? I mean, everybody went, completely working from home overnight.
Sure.
Like we became this work from home workforce.
But you wonder where that's going to head because, in contrast, a lot of companies realize their productivity went up when their employees were home, but for some reason now it's going back. Okay, we have to go back into the office. Is it that mindset we have to do things the way we did, knowing that the new way might be so productive for a lot of people? Or
finding a hybrid in there maybe of, we've seen some really cool models out there of people saying, what if we had, a 2-day at home, 3-day at work, and we rotated, shared desk space and things. So, I mean, companies are thinking. They're thinking about different ways that they can cut overhead, that they can maybe create more flexibility and attract more talent in doing so.
Well, and in saying that, maybe people will want to work longer because they have a more favorable work environment.
That's exactly right. I think that is such a great opportunity from a corporate mindset to think, people were thinking about retiring, but those are the key people that we needed in place. But their argument is, oh my gosh, we can't afford them. Yeah. Well, guess what? Our retirees are be happy to work 20 hours a week instead of 50 or 60 hours a week, and they'll take less money to do it. In many cases, 65, they don't need benefits. So the opportunity for the workforce to change and to keep that talent on board, I think, is better than it's ever been. And the landscaping for being in the workforce into your 60s and 70s and beyond exists today, where I don't think it was. I think a lot of people felt forced out. If you look back in the early mid-2000s, I heard that a lot, where people were saying they just don't want me anymore. Or my dad retired from Ford and was looking for a job and thought he'd get a job right away. Because, he was super experienced. He was really good at what he did. He had a great education, and he thought he would just walk in. And what he found is that people weren't there with open arms. Today, I think that's a different environment than it was, like I said, even 20 years ago.
Absolutely. And then it's the new normal, and there's a lot of benefits to that, I think. Explain to us what the retirement blueprint is.
Sure. So this is our trademark process. We built this specifically for retirement. It's called the retirement blueprint, right? It's self-evident. But the idea was it was built on the 5 cornerstones of planning, which include an income plan, an investment plan, a tax plan that looks through the scope of everything that you're doing with the tax thought in mind. And then, of course, that healthcare, long-term care section. And then lastly is that estate plan that kind of wraps around the whole thing. And it creates a roadmap for people that shows them each of the areas that they need to focus on. And more importantly, we have people under one roof that can put all that together, that can figure out specifically for you what that custom plan needs to look like. And these are all people that are experts in their field. We have people that are experts on the wealth management side. We have a team of people giving our accounting and tax planning advice. We have an estate planning attorney. We have me doing the planning work. And so you have these people that are in place, but the important thing is they're all talking. And that's how you get a really good plan. Not with 5 individuals out there doing their own thing, but having all those people discuss you.
Tim, I love this conversation. We have to take a quick break. The number again is 855-684-3485. When we get back, I want to talk to you more about this and the importance of an estate plan in all this process. We'll be right back.
When was the last time you saw your financial professional? Are you getting the most out of the strategy that was created for you? Although you've done a great job finding someone to help plan for your future, are you 100% sure that you were given the right strategy? We can help answer these questions and more with a complimentary second opinion evaluation. We will take a look at what you have in place and then help determine if you're well positioned to get the most out of your future retirement income. In the event that it is not, we can help by making suggestions and showing you how to get on the right path. You wouldn't get just one opinion when it comes to a major health decision, so why would you treat your most important financial decision with such disregard? Call today for your no-cost, no-obligation second opinion evaluation to see if you're getting the most out of your retirement income plan.
Hello, welcome back to the Retirement Blueprint. I'm Sara Peterson here with my friend Tim Lofton. You know, when we talk about retirement, a lot of things we don't want to deal with in life, right? There's certain things that are certain. Life, death, sickness, and there's a lot of fun things that happen in between. But if we don't have an estate plan in place, so many things can go wrong. And we've seen it. There's been so many famous cases recently of celebrities without them. And it just shocks me sometimes that people tell me later in life, even close to retirement, that they've never addressed these issues.
It is, we get those emails because of the, different estate planning sites that we subscribe to. And it's mind-boggling that Prince or Michael Jackson or one of these famous people that are worth hundreds of millions of dollars, they have no plan. It's like, how does that even happen? With all of the advisors and handlers and all the people that are involved in their lives, their managers, that somebody wasn't like, hey, you kind of need to get this done. It is one of the most overlooked areas in planning. It's one of the most overlooked areas in retirement. And I think procrastination is part of it. But I also think people have this sense that, well, I've kind of done that. Like they have a estate plan, it just needs dusted off, and maybe it's 10 years old or 15 years old, or I'll even say, well, when was this last updated? And they'll say, oh, well, I think it was in 2005, and we look at it and it was 93, and time
flies sometimes. You have no concept.
Yeah, they have grandkids, and yet their will's talking about who their guardian of their kids would be if they died. It's old, it's dated, it's tired, and it needs updated. And it's a matter of, guys don't want to do it because we're going to live forever. We're invincible. And the ladies don't push it. And so, it kind of falls on us a lot of times. But I'll tell you what gets people in the office. When people come in about estate planning specifically, something's happened in their life. Their grandparents, parents, someone's passed away, and it either went really, really well, and they come in our office and they're like, that's what we want to happen for us, or it was a train wreck. And they come in and they're
More
like, we
often than not.
don't want that to happen to us. But the life event is what gets them there. Like if 50 and under, we'll never get somebody in to do estate planning. They're just not ready. And we can talk about it. We can talk to our viewers at home today, but they won't do it. They just won't. There's other things that are occupying their list of priorities. But when you get to that 60, 65, retirement's imminent, there is a sense of ownership that comes from, I've got to get this taken care of. And there's a process in place. That's the good news. You don't have to know anything. Don't go to LegalZoom and try and get some discounted version of it.
I think you can just say, don't go to the internet for your answers.
Don't read the internet. Viewers at home, hear me. Do not use Google as your source of reference.
It is the new water cooler.
Oh my gosh, it
is the water cooler
There's
now.
So much bad information out there.
Well, the internet isn't asking you the right questions. It's not saying, Tim, tell me about yourself. And it's not putting all those pieces of the puzzle together the way that you're going to do it as a professional.
No, and it's optimized on what people search for. So it's not even necessarily the most relevant information. I mean, we see that, you say the word annuity and people are like, oh my gosh, annuities are horrible because they read something on the internet on page 1. Now, page 2 through 20 had good stuff about it, but they didn't get there. They read the first article, or Susie Orman said, hey, this is bad, and they took that as the gospel. You have to talk to people that are experts in that field and know what they're talking about. Get your information from them. We don't have an agenda. We're not here to build our plan for you. We're here to build your plan for you. That's what we do. And so we don't care where you end up as long as it's where you want to be. And that's the key.
It's amazing to me when I talk to people and they say, I don't even know who my beneficiary is. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, you don't know how important that is. Like,
right.
this can go really bad.
Well, there's a plan either way. If you don't do any planning, the government has a plan.
Exactly.
They have it all laid out. The state of Ohio.
As much as I love the government,
yes.
I love my kids more. I'm not going to lie.
Guys, I mean, look at some of the decisions that our state leadership has made. Is that exactly who you want to determine your estate planning? It's not, okay? I mean, you have to take ownership of that, and we have the experts in place to do it.
You mentioned before, you said the men aren't going to do it because they think they're going to live forever. I really do believe that 2020 showed us that we took so many things for granted, and we realize now there's a lot that's beyond our control. It's sort of, made us really see our mortality more, and that's a good thing, because I think we maybe are going to revisit things that have been long sitting there and unresolved.
I think it allows people the idea of, hey, I've got to take ownership of this. Like, this is an important thing. I don't know what's going to happen. And I mean, COVID was a perfect example of that. I mean, it was everything from somebody got COVID and literally had no symptoms all the way to somebody dying. And, there was no rhyme or reason, at least from my layperson, got a D in chemistry sort of background, that it didn't seem to pick or choose. It just, it just was. And I think that realization was a wake-up call for a lot of people of, what, these are things that can't really wait any longer. Like, I need to get this stuff taken care of.
Absolutely. Well, for those people who are out there who are thinking, oh, I have like this stack of statements here, and I saw my advisor in like 2017, but he's never talked to me about these things. You can be a second opinion for somebody who's, because a lot of times advisors, as wonderful as they are, maybe focused on accumulation of wealth, right? And there's a different phase of investing and financial planning that happens in your retirement.
You're 100%. I mean, 95% of advisors out there are accumulation advisors, and they're really good at it. That's the thing to keep in mind. I mean, I know there's a lot of people out there that are like, oh, they don't do this, they don't do that, but they're great at growing your money, right? I mean, you go there and you give them what you have, and they grow it to this future point, and then you get to retirement. Only about 5% of the people out there doing planning work are really doing retirement-only planning work. And there's a big difference, because it's a completely different arena. The things that worked in that accumulation phase are not the things that work in retirement. It's a completely different mindset. And yet, what you described of people bringing in that 3-ring binder or their statements and saying, hey, this is what I've got, and we ask them their plan, and they're like, well, we're just going to take a systematic withdrawal of X amount of dollars a month, and our person said it would all work out. That's not a plan. That's a hope. That's one of these, but that's not necessarily a written plan. And the idea of things that could go wrong with that are so high, I can't imagine being comfortable with that as my plan.
Absolutely. Well, really, there is no risk, and service is complimentary. So literally all they need to do is call 855-684-3485, give Tim a call, and he's going to give you that retirement blueprint. I can't believe it's complimentary, because I know some people charge $1,000 or more for this, so it's pretty fantastic. And to get that peace of mind is really priceless. And we have a lot more to talk about after this short break.
As you prepare for, transition into, and navigate retirement, there's one thing you're sure to have: questions. Lots of questions about retirement. Like, when can I retire? Will I run out of money? Who pays for nursing home care? And many, many more.
We use the Beta Blueprint retirement planning software to help answer your questions.
This program takes stacks of documents from every area of your financial life and converts them into one large picture. Just as you would never buy a house without seeing it first, why would you ever retire without being able to visualize it? By being able to see the whole picture, you can then make better decisions about your retirement. First, the blueprint looks at your top goals and concerns. Then, we look at your age and the trigger age decisions you have to make, like when to take Social Security, Medicare, and required minimum distributions. Next, we analyze your fixed income streams and compare that to your retirement lifestyle. For most people, their lifestyle exceeds their income, so we determine which assets to tap to make up the difference. When looking at assets, there are 3 key numbers we want you to know. The first number is the risk score of what you own. Every investor has a risk tolerance, and every investment has a risk score. The risk scale runs from 1 to 99, and the S&P 500 has a score of 78. We use a scientific framework that won the Nobel Prize for economics for its ability to identify true risk tolerance. If you are taking too much risk, when would you want to know? The second number we want to know is the maximum drawdown of what you own. Maximum drawdown is the maximum loss from a market peak to a market trough. The maximum drawdown of the S&P 500 in 2008 was about 51%. What was the maximum drawdown of what you own? And the third number is your annual withdrawal rate percent. If you're taking too much here, you could run out of money. Finally, we look at your insurance and long-term care. Do you have life insurance? If so, what type, and does it expire? We analyze the income reduction from losing a spouse. We want to know if the surviving spouse will be protected. Have you planned for long-term care? Do you know all your health care options? Being able to put all this information in picture format is like watching holistic planning come to life. Your financial picture helps us identify the potential cracks and red flags in your overall retirement plan. Remember, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Discover the power of the picture for your retirement. Learn how to get a blueprint of your life.
Hello and welcome back to the Retirement Blueprint. I'm Sara Peterson here with Tim Lofton. He's making me laugh too much. I think we had too much coffee today.
I definitely do. If one of these days we should let the cameras roll in between commercials
Bloopers.
Because it is definitely entertaining.
The retirement bloopers.
Yeah, exactly. The retirement bloopers.
This is the new thing.
That would be. We could do a whole show on that.
I get the copyrights on that. I just want you to know.
Done.
I love talking about how our golden years are going to be golden because one thing I really saw with my own family and people that I love in 2020 was that people really are taking ownership now. Mm-hmm. They're realizing that this is where the sun is shining. Right now, today, we don't know what tomorrow is going to be. So taking control over those things, it really takes that stress and that worry off because you do have that plan underneath you. So when things change, because they inevitably will, we don't really need to worry about it because there is a plan for what's going to happen.
Well, we talk about, what planning is. People come to our office many times worried about things that they shouldn't even be worried about. And they're not worried about things that they should be, and they didn't even know to be worried about them.
You're like, don't worry about that. Worry about this.
Yeah, that's not your problem. This is your problem. You should be freaked out about that. But that's kind of what the idea of planning is to discover the things that can go wrong. And then we figure out what the fix would be for those things. And then we get to put them in a box, put them up on the shelf, and hopefully never take them off the shelf. Hopefully those things don't happen. But in the event that COVID hits or murder hornets or a coin shortage or... There's an actual board game called The Worst Case Scenario. Have you seen it? I have not.
Okay, so my parents actually have this because they're worriers, and it is an actual board game. But I laugh so hard because that board game could have never imagined and put 2020 on there. But it's probably going to be the 2020 version is its own thing of all the worst case scenario things.
Like if 2020 had been in that board game, you'd be like, this would never happen.
Yeah, dumpster fires, murder hornets, what?
This is impossible. If we hadn't lived through it, we would have, I can't imagine what it's going to be like telling our grandkids, Grandpa, what were murder hornets? Oh my gosh, honey, let me tell you. I mean, we don't even know what they were, but they were a real thing. And
I found myself saying so many times, you can't make this up. You could not make this up.
No.
But I think the benefit, like we were talking earlier before the break about, being able to work from home, having that family time. I think so many of our priorities probably have shifted. So if we had sort of a plan prior to 2020, that may change, but maybe for the better in a lot of ways. Maybe our plans are going to be, maybe we didn't want to take those big family vacations before, but now we really realize those are the important things in life. So revisiting that and reprioritizing is so important.
And those are the conversations that we are seeing more and more of in the office. We want to alleviate as much fear as we can, and the only way that you can do that is to address what those fears are. And so, we do a fair amount of asking questions for the purpose of finding out what people are worried about. Then we look at what their plan is to see if there's anything there to uncover that maybe they hadn't thought of, and then we put a plan in place for those things. And it really, when you see it all come together, it is like a load is lifted off of you, because you're no longer worried about, clearly those things could still happen, but you're not left in the back of your mind going, oh my gosh, what would I do? Mm-hmm. That's the part that really eats at you. That's what keeps you up at night, is the what would I do? If I know what I would do, then hopefully I'm not just worrisome by nature. I can think more along the lines of living life and doing things, more in a traditional way, versus just that constant thing of, watching the headlines and having every news source tell me how the end of the world's going to happen.
I don't want to get older. I want to get better. And I love this concept of just helping your clients live their best life, because this is what we've earned and deserved from working so hard for so many years. And like we were talking about earlier, your distribution phase may be almost as long as your accumulation phase. Yeah. We're living so much longer. So to be able to say that I can enjoy those maybe 30 years of my life is a pretty special and spectacular.
Think about how much longer we're living today. When Social Security started, the average life expectancy to claim Social Security at 65 was 64. Kind of worked itself out, right? Now, a married couple is going to make it to 94. Where is technology going? How much longer are we going to live? And hopefully, I think better, right? It's not just, I don't want to just grow old. I want to grow old well. Growing old and being feeble and just being kept alive, that's no fun. That's not what we're looking for. But medicine is making advances that are keeping people alive longer, where they're thriving. And I think about the clients that we have that are in their 80s.
We're running out of time.
We got to go.
I'm so sorry.
Oh my gosh.
We're going to talk about murder hornets next week. We'll talk about murder hornets, worst case scenario. Until then, give us a call, 855-684-3485, and we can talk more about the golden years next time.